The two main things I focus on my channel are Pokemon and Vocaloids, and if I was good at this job, I would have been all over Project Voltage when the iron was still hot with it. Unfortunately, I am not good at this job, but I have finally gotten around to ranking the different designs for Miku we got for it. In case you don't know, Project Voltage is a collab between Hatsune Miku and Pokemon, and part of the collab includes a series of designs by 6 different artists, imagining Miku as a specialist of each different Pokemon type. It's super fun, and is by far my favorite part of the whole collab, and so I want to talk about these cool designs, and what better way to do that than by ranking them from worst to best. Now to clarify, this is worst to best, not least favorite to favorite, in that I'm trying to approach this with a level of objectivity, including a handful of different categories each Miku will be judged on. Typing, judging how well the designated type is conveyed. Is it Miku? Because while Miku can change a lot across artists' interpretations of her, for something like this, I want to really get those Miku vibes. Not an OC who happens to have pigtails, you feel me? Impact, judging not only the initial impact a design had when it was first revealed, but also a design's staying power over the year or so since these dropped. Creativity. Such a wonderful aspect of both Pokemon and Vocaloids is how they lend themselves well to exploring their elements in creative, fun new ways. If a design thinks outside the box, I want to reward that. And finally, quality, because at the end of the day, it's gotta plain ol' look good. Here's the important part of the intro though. While I wanted to avoid it being a favorites list, and instead wanted to use this as a way to discuss elements I think are or are not successful with each design, I am not the supreme ruler of the universe and arbiter of all opinions, yet. And I'm not a robot either, so while this is how I believe the list ought to be ordered from worst to best, there's still a lot of subjectivity to be found here. We're never all gonna agree all the time, so don't be afraid to let me know which Miku you think is the best design. But now that I've gotten all the boring qualifiers out of the way, let's start talking about Miku. Number 18, Fire. Megumi Mitsutani is the artist who has the most designs across this collab, so we're gonna be discussing them quite a lot for this video, and it only stands to reason that when you did 8 out of 18 designs, some will fall a little short. That being said, despite being my worst ranked Miku, it's still not even that bad, just sort of middling across the different categories I've used for judging, truly only falling short on impact. Miku's weirdly square hair is the only feature of the design I can consistently remember, not helped by the official art opting to have Miku ditch the cumbersome, overly detailed jacket just to reveal a bland shirt underneath. These leggings are probably my favorite part of the design. They're so Pokemon. Kind of future, sort of don't make any sense, but in a way that looks fashionable, so you give it a pass. I like the concept of a top-heavy design with fancy skin-tight legwear, but I think the devil just fell apart in the details here. As a bonus element, Skeledirge is such a great pick to pair her with. With its signature move, Torch Song, I can't think of a better choice for her to sing with. A dirge is a lament for the dead, hence its part ghost typing, but Skeledirge also has such a rock feel to it. I can't call myself an expert on all Vocaloid producers, but if I were to choose one to make a song for this Miku, I think Neru would be my pick. His rock chops are no secret, and his ability to approach darker themes in an accessible way means this dirge can still bring the heat. Number 17, Normal. Megumi appears again for their normal design of Miku featuring Chatot. This is another sort of middle-of-the-road design, nothing particularly noteworthy outside of the impressively nice use of obnoxious colors that doesn't end up looking bad. I think the problem is that Megumi leaned quite hard on Chatot's elements, which unfortunately just makes Miku look like she's repping flying instead. These robo screen glasses are also pretty fly, but are like way too much. The beak motif thing along the top is not only pushing that flying feeling the most in the design, but it also just doesn't look particularly good in my opinion. The creativity of it all helped it squeak by fire, but not by much. I understand why Chatot was chosen for this Miku, but I can't help but feel like there are better options out there. Maybe the Whismer line. But it has led Miku into this very colorful, fun aesthetic, and maybe it is all these colors, but I can't help but think Live Tune is the best choice for this Miku's tuning, able to nail the cute, bubbly, and light sound that this Miku needs to match Chatot's energy. Number 16, Psychic. It's kind of surprising to see Psychic so far down the list, since it's kind of the face of the project in a way, being the first design released and in general being the only iteration of Miku that pitches her as a trainer going on an adventure, like how we do in-game. Take's the artist in our sights this time, and I think they do a great job of capturing everything that makes Miku feel like Miku, while seamlessly implementing that into the Pokemon world. Unfortunately, the thing that has landed Psychic Miku so low is the simple aesthetic of representing Miku like a normal trainer. It's a fit that leaves little impact and in general does nothing to show us the psychic typing. I do love the little doodle of her levitating her Pokeballs with telekinesis in the reference image though, and the retro stickers on her bag are top tier adorable too. Meloetta is the perfect choice for Miku, being one of the most overtly connected to music Pokemon in the franchise, and it even shares Miku's color palette. If I think of a song for a cute protagonist-coded character, I can't help but think that Rio, Supercell, would be the perfect choice. Powerful yet beautiful, most of his songs feel like anime openings anyway, and it's just the perfect fit for our little psychic trainer. Number 15. Poison. If anything proves I'm doing my best to be objective, it's Poison's placing. This is my least favorite design in the series, and I don't want to throw any shade to artist Kentaro, they're still better than I am, but I just hate the gloopy hair, the weird scientist gimmick, the silhouette. I don't like any of this. It doesn't even feel like Miku, but I can't deny that the poison typing is pretty damn clear, or that this is certainly a unique way to approach the design. Splatoon-coded scientist aren't the words I'd jump to when designing a poison type character, but seeing it I'm like, fuck, that do be poison though. I think it's just too much. The concept art shows that removing the complex jacket helps a ton to make the whole thing more readable. So here's hoping Miku just stays out of the lab, I guess. Toxtricity is a stellar choice for Poison, but I lament that they didn't go with the lo-fi version, just because the blue would match Miku better. It also bums me out a bit for the design too, because Kentaro could have leaned into Toxtricity and given Miku a rocker vibe to match her partner here. Alas, with our goopy scientist aesthetic to consider, I would choose Teniwoa to make a song for this Miku. My favorite songs from them have this cool edge to their instrumentation that hits just right, with vocals that feel drippy, for lack of a better word. They dance up and down the octaves in a way that sounds bouncy, but in a restricted way, meaning they can have Miku sound right, and also get to play with Toxtricity's built-in grooves. Number 14. Water. Megumi returns for Water Miku, and listen, there's no real way to beat around the bush on this one. A cute lifeguard with hair that looks like waves does everything exactly right, in the most Route 1 way possible. The fun tan line gimmick and keyboard-flavored wetsuit are great choices, accentuated with these Poke Tech braces, I don't know what they are, on her arm and leg, keeps the look from being too plain. But golly, it's just another swimmer in a long lineup of water trainer just swims. Making the hair more elaborate doesn't change how much I've seen this idea before, which all results in a look that has minimal lasting impact, and also only barely even ends up feeling like Miku, unfortunately. It sounds so negative. I like this one so much. Primarina's kind of the only choice that could have gone with. Somehow, we've basically only gotten a tiny fraction of musical water types, even with it being the most abundant type across the franchise. A beautiful mermaid Pokemon and its spunky lifeguard trainer. Listen, I can already hear Michi M's tuning just looking at this Miku. He has such a unique way of tuning Miku that has her voice resonate, giving her a power that easily hides behind how overtly cute it is. The perfect choice for a darling mermaid to be heard over the crashing waves. Number 13. Ground. I really like this artist, Kanu's style, so it does hurt quite a lot to put their very cool ground Miku this low. It only falters in that, despite looking amazing, it's not doing anything incredibly special. I'm impressed at how much it still feels like Miku, despite how much Kanu's altered her hair, and I love how successfully incorporated the long ribbon is tying her hair back. The big thing is, despite the top tier Wanderer vibes, it is just a tank top and leggings. And Crocs. Just notice those. I think this is just proof to the level of quality we're dealing with overall here. This design does absolutely everything right, but moving forward, we're going to see some exceptional concepts and executions. We're really playing with the big dogs now, and bonus thing, but Am I crazy, or does Miku's bag kind of look like a Tamagotchi fused with a Pokewalker? Ground had to have been the hardest for the team to choose. There are no music-based ground types. There isn't even really sound-based ground types. The Flygon line probably got chosen just because vibrations make noise. Saying I choose Hachi to make a song for this Miku probably has you thinking I'm bouncing off of the vibes of Sand Planet, and I sort of am, but I think even with Hachi's other works, there's a distinct desolation to his sound. An edgy punk flavor that's still smooth and easy to listen to. Perfect to keep Miku heading forward on her travels. Number 12. Rock. Megumi returns again for the prettiest iteration of a rock-type trainer I think I've ever seen, leaning really heavily into her partner Aurora's design, resulting in Miku looking perfectly dressed up for an important opera. I'm especially impressed with the idea to swap out Miku's usual pigtails for these big, sheer veils. It still gives Miku's usual silhouette, but in a way that feels opulent and evokes Aurora's sails perfectly. The reference for the outfit without the sheer elements is also very cute, if not quite as impactful. The big stinky one I've given this look just comes from the fact that there's no way in hell I'd guess rock for this. Even with Aurora standing right next to Miku, I'd guess its other typing of ice a million times before I ever consider this might be rock. And to be clear, I do think that's why this ends up looking so good, but it does impact her score, unfortunately. Similar to ground, good rock choices are slim pickings for Miku. I do think Aurora's is at least the prettiest choice, even if its cry always came across kinda scary to me. I've already noted Miku's operatic ballroom vibes here, so I think Kurosa P is a pretty obvious choice for me. With music that sounds punchy yet classic, Kurosa P would bring our fossil Pokemon to the modern day while still repping some historical flavors. Number 11. Electric. Kanu's art is back for the high-flying electrician ringleader. It's a creative collection of aesthetics for sure, but the entertainer gimmick is really only coming through with Miku's hat. Everything else is just anime electrician, and don't get me wrong, it's an anime electrician with some very cool shape language and use of color. The white is especially striking, I'd say. But I think the devil ends up in the details here. The half yellow hair would probably have worked better if it was actually yellow and not dirt tan. It's also the thing that has this be one of the designs that least feel like Miku to me. I think the yellow along the back of the pants is not really doing anything worthwhile, and above all else, I find myself asking, why not pull from Rotom's design more? They paired Miku with one of the very few electric types that feature blue electricity, and then ignored it. For an electric showstopper, I'd choose Kira as this Miku's composer. Kira's music, especially lately, has a very synth-heavy electronica sound to it. I really like how Kira tunes virtual singers to still sound kind of robotic, but in a way that lends itself really well to their compositions. With tuning that sounds the way Vaporwave looks, electric Miku would really be able to put on a show. Number 10. Grass. Megumi's back again, but much like Kanu's previous design, Grass Miku is hindered the most by just not really feeling like Miku. I do really like playing with greens and teals the way they did. Keeping the pom-poms Miku teal is a fun way to zhuzh up the palette. Unfortunately, while I respect wanting to play outside of the box, the green hair does end up being the problem. Hair resembling foliage is not only a bit of an obvious choice, but it means Miku ends up looking like a generic grass girl. Without knowing any better, I'd be more likely to assume this is related to Mallow than Miku. The cheerleader gimmick is top tier though, leading to a very cute outfit and a fun way to approach a well-trodden type. This has me hoping we actually do get a cheerleader leader in the games sometime. I think there's a lot of great choices for this Miku's partner Pokemon, but Rillaboom and its drum has to take the cake, providing a good, steady rhythm for Miku to perform to. And now, to provide her voice, I have opted for Nayutili N. Nayutili has a very consistent robot/space theme with their music, but they have strayed from that general aesthetic a little for some of their Project Sekai commissions, and I think Nayutili has proven that their cute Miku sound works well even when standing firmly in our solar system. Number 9. Ghost. Ghost Miku is so quietly brilliant. Take has made minimal alterations to default Miku's design to great effect, resulting in a look that feels ripped straight out of those classic Lavender Town creepypastas. It was Hatsune Miku, but she was dead! And interpreting a virtual singer's ghost into being a glitch is such a gigabrain piece of icing on the cake. It's simple, yet super effective. Take's art is incredibly charming, but I think this proves that the bulk of a good design comes from the brainstorming stage, and Take's nailed it. Doesn't Misdreavus feel like a weird choice? There's not really any musical ghost types except for Rotom's ability to become speakers, but Electric got dibs on that, which Electric could have gotten Toxtricity instead, but Poison got that one. Just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. Well, I think it's about time one of my favorite Vocaloid producers, Pinocchio P, showed up on my list. Pinocchio's got a pretty diverse catalog, but I think if there's anyone who can nail the haunting melody of a glitched ghost, it's him. Number 8. Steel. Megumi's back again with a very cute iteration of a Steel-type Miku. I think it's pretty clear by now how much Megumi leans into Miku's partner Pokemon for these designs, which I do think is a boon for them. Taking inspiration from Jirachi's wish tags to lead into a Falling Star Ronin vibe is such a fun way to approach a normally quite rigid type. I'm especially charmed by the flute prop replacing a sword. It's so Pokemon to do that. It does mean I can see how one could assume some different types for this Miku, but even without Jirachi by her side, you can find your way to the right answer with relative ease. A part of me wants to complain about the limited palette, but I wouldn't want anything to get in the way of the colorful tags decorating her hat, so I think it's all for the best. Steel's another one with not that much to choose for Miku. Jirachi's probably the best choice, unless you want to stick Miku with Kling Klang. Jirachi certainly lends itself to a nicer sound, though, I think. To bring the hopeful, wish-making wanderer flavor to song, I couldn't think of anyone better suited than Star Luna. Is it Star Luna or just Luna? I always read it like Star Luna, but I don't know. Luna's music rivals Bump of Chicken on the "This Makes Me Happy" meter. It feels like every MV they produce features a character wistfully looking up to the sky, and that's exactly what Steel Miku needs. Number 7. Fairy. We've got back-to-back Megumi designs with the far less elaborate but no less adorable Fairy Miku up next. The Fairy type is still young enough in our history that some classic Gyaru accessories don't feel overdone despite feeling like an obvious choice. Such a simple design as this avoids the pitfalls that befell Psychic by having Miku fully lean into the Gyaru gimmick, having her basically cosplay as every iteration of the archetype you've ever seen in anime. This is as overt as Take's ghost. The mix of pink and blue hair is very fun and helps to have neither color overpower the other in the look. Topped off with a bag that doubles as a pillow for when Jigglypuff starts singing, and it's got everything it needs to leave a lasting impression on the viewer, despite its generic concept. Jigglypuff is, quite frankly, the best and most obvious choice for the fairy type. Singing is its whole thing, and it means we need some chill yet Genki vibes for our producer. Well, Aquera sounds perfect to me. Not only are their songs fun without becoming too much for our sort of sleepy Miku here, but quite frankly, their tuning for Miku already makes her sound shockingly similar to Jigglypuff if you ask me. They were made for each other. Number 6. Ice. Kantaro redeems himself, as I don't have nearly as many complaints for their design this time. While I think the ice hair is sort of too much on the nose, and the lime green gloves are a pretty odd choice, a frigid businesswoman is a fun way to tackle the type. I quite like the icy gradient across her suit, looking cold without doing that thing where an ice character becomes really bright and hard to look at. I do think it would be better if the jacket was form-fitting. The boxy look here just isn't quite hitting right, I think. Similar to last time, I find myself liking Kantaro's design better when Miku just takes the jacket off. Unfortunately, the boxy silhouette is what ends up impacting the impact category for this Miku, as all the cool details get lost in it. There's lots of great ice Pokemon they could have picked, I think. Lapras feels kind of like a boring pick to me, despite it probably getting chosen for similar reasons to Jigglypuff. Lapras can learn basically every song-themed move, most notably Perish Song, which I think is an element we could have played with a little bit more in the design, but whatever. It's only relatively recently that I've become taken with Haramaki Gohan's music, but their catalog is dripping with a subtle yet consistent science fiction vibe. With strong metallic instrumentation alongside soft vocals, it feels like an excellent option for a standoffish office worker. Number 5. Dark. This is the only design Lo9 did for Project Voltage. They really showed up, gave us peak, and then left. Dark Miku hit the internet like a freight train. Everyone was immediately taken with the sultry, confident mob boss vibes of this Miku. It can be tough to spot all the good details when she's standing next to her Obstagoon, but there's a lot of noteworthy elements here. Her umbrella doubling as a mic is obvious, but styling Miku's pigtails into a crescent moon shape is downright inspired, and doubly impressive that Lo9 did so in a way that doesn't look hokey. The use of black and white across the fit is also top tier, keeping the design visually engaging without having her clothes get muddied up together and hard to discern. And it all still looks so much like Miku. This is a perfect example of how to approach this sort of project correctly. Obstagoon's a great pick for something like this, another noise-based Pokemon, and its design takes inspiration from real-world musicians like Kiss. Miku's design wanders away from the 80s rock of her partner Pokemon though, and ends up in a style that looks like she'd fit in better at a speakeasy. How do you mix these? Well, I'd ask Nakiso, a producer whose music is often scary and dark already. They do a great job of incorporating a fast pace and steady vocals, meaning if anyone can bring the complex vibes of mob boss Miku and her glam rock Obstagoon, they can. Number 4. Flying. More proof of my objectivity here, because Kanu's flying is my favorite design of the bunch. It's so airy and light and fun. I love the shape language, with her socks balancing her cloudy hair so excellently. The limited use of clear elements results in more impact than if she'd been coated in sheer fabric. The colors are also super fun, with the yellow falling leaf pattern giving the whole thing a pop without being overbearing. I even like the white legs, even though it confuses me. Like, is this makeup? What's going on here? It's clearly cloudy while still having an aesthetic beyond just clouds, with a kimono-esque look that makes this Miku fit right at home at Hisui. Her only downfall is that, like, this doesn't feel much like Miku, and it's hard to pin down why. Maybe she feels a little too old, a little too confident, maybe the hair's too swoopy, not enough of a music theme visible, but despite that, she can still reign as my personal favorite. Flying is a type with lots of options, if only just because of the quantity of birdies available to choose from. Altaria's a grand choice, I think. Miku colored and powerful, it's hard to be upset with this choice. Orange Star's another producer I've only recently fallen in love with, but there's something about his music that just sounds perfect for a flying type adventurer. He's got a way with his percussion that damn near pulls you forward, a collection of songs that almost prompts your legs to go into a dead sprint, alongside bright, airy vocal tuning that simply makes this one a no-brainer. Number 3. Dragon. They sort of pulled out all the stops for Dragon Miku. While each of the artists on this list have worked with the Pokemon Company before, they gathered an absolute powerhouse of Pokemon artist veterans for Dragon Miku. Designed by Yusuke Omura and illustrated by Hitoshi Ariga, Dragon Miku is the most Pokemon and Miku-coded design here, oozing all of the features that make for a classic Dragon-type trainer, while still supplying plenty of Miku's virtual singer elements. The microphone sword is especially stand out, as are the dragon horn headphones she's been given. It's also smart to lean into Miraidon for the design. Much like her partner Pokemon, Miku also comes from the future and is robotic, and it results in a lovely use of color to accentuate the more mechanical textured bodysuit. Its only shortcoming being, similar to Fairy Miku, it's so steeped into the classic ideas of the typing that it's unfortunately one of the more generic designs in terms of creativity, but there's no doubt it still deserves its placement of top 3. I already discussed Miraidon and how perfect of a match it is for Miku, so let's swiftly move on to the producer part of the discussion. We need someone who can bring the synthy power of Miraidon's Electro Drift from the future. Sasakura UK is, quite frankly, the obvious choice. He's another producer that does a great job of tuning to still sound robotic, but in a way that consistently has his virtual singers sound otherworldly. I don't think I've ever heard a song that sounds more like the future than Amara. It's a dream team right here. Number 2. Fighting. Much like we saw with Dark Miku earlier, Take's Fighting Miku landed an instant smash favorite. And how could she not? A badass enforcer with a leek sword rules! One of the things that stands out so much is the use of color. Opting to style Miku's hair like leeks is already a wild choice, let alone the fact that it doesn't even end up looking goofy. But using the white and green to have the fighting type orange accents pop is a stroke of genius. The other most striking thing is the silhouette. You probably noticed a lot of big, top-heavy designs with bare legs throughout this. It was a fascinatingly common choice for this project. No other Miku looks like Fighting Miku's silhouette. The sleek, asymmetrical long jacket not only stands out from the crowd, but it lets her big, important pigtails play in the design unencumbered, with just enough elements throughout to still have her feel like Miku and convey her typing to land Fighting Miku second from the top. Sirfetch'd is a hilarious choice. Miku has always been associated with leeks, and that's the Farfetch'd line's whole gimmick too. Quite frankly, Sirfetch'd, Miraidon, and Meloetta were made for this sort of collab. I think Fighting Miku needs a producer that can hit hard like her, someone with a great use of percussion paired with their vocals, and I think Amala is a spot-on pick. With a sound that sort of resembles all the best parts of Deco and Giga, Amala still brings a lot of unique sounds to his work that I think could handily provide the strength and cool factor this Miku needs. Number 1. Bug. I know, I was surprised too. The humble bug type so rarely gets to shine, and yet Megumi's design for this Miku is quite frankly perfect. Perfect to the point it's almost hard to talk about. Like, yeah, I can discuss the slick color palette, featuring a dark cyan that evokes both Miku and the bug typing effortlessly, and yeah, I can talk about the cute silhouette and how effective the antenna-shaped pigtails are alongside the slick wing accessory on her back. I can talk about how good she looks next to her partner Cricketune, with contrasting teal and red-orange on them. I can talk about the extra level of interest in the design with the added church choir-esque elements. I could even talk about how cute it is that her sheet music is on a holographic book. But like, just look at her. All of the quality in this design is incredibly obvious. The sign of a great design is that you don't need to be the smartest person in the room to get how good it is. And Bug Miku is simply perfect. Everyone's favorite Dilla 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 Whoop is a great choice as well. A little musician to join our favorite virtual idol alongside the likes of Rillaboom and Toxtricity. Now, who do we get for a classical buggy sound? Well, my money's on Nobuna. Nobuna's quite a bit more rock than classical, but I think he could utilize a violin exceptionally well, and his high-pitched, vibrato-heavy tuning for Miku is perfect for echoing her partner Pokemon's cricket-like sound. A cricket tune, if you will. And there are our Mikus. Project Voltage is such a fun thing for both us Vocaloid fans and us Pokemon fans. I can't believe it all started 2 years ago. It feels like it was just yesterday that we were eagerly awaiting the next great Miku design. I hope you enjoyed revisiting Miku and all her partner Pokemon with me. I've got more videos discussing designs for the Pokemon franchise and Project Sekai, so if you want more content, you don't have to go all that far. Let me know which is your favorite Miku in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Special shout out to my $10 patrons, Hut Mutt Bud, Messiah Complex, James Piper, Ranger Soat, and Andrew. You're all amazing. Thank you a million.